I asked the leader of Wiltshire Council how many illegal migrants are here. Basically, I asked, is there any asylum seeker or illegal migrant housing currently in Wiltshire, or has there been for the last few years? What type of housing was it and where? Who manages it, the Home Office, MOD, or Wiltshire Council? And does Wiltshire Council provide any support? If so, at what cost? As with all questions to Cabinet, it goes in as a written question. Then you're provided with a written response just before the meeting, and then you've got the opportunity to ask follow-up questions. The written response I got was pretty evasive. It was full of jargon, it was pretty hard to follow, and it wasn't transparent in the slightest. If you want to read the full written response and the question, I'll flash it up here so you can pause it and read it in your own time. But just be warned, it's pretty frustrating. I should say, by the way, that knowing that my discussion was coming up, the leader of the council did some kind of weird preemptive statement at the start of the meeting about how Afghans under the Afghan resettlement scheme in Wiltshire were receiving some kind of harassment. And I think that was to try and put me on the back foot and scare me into not speaking. Anyway, I was surprised, but this is the game we're playing, I suppose. And just to be clear, I may be out of the loop, but I haven't seen a single news story or police statement about such attacks. I asked some follow-up questions, so let's get into it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, this suggests to me that Wiltshire Council is taking responsibility for transitioning individuals into settled accommodation. So I'd like to clarify, is this settled accommodation being provided within Wiltshire or elsewhere? And given that you said support is being delivered under homelessness legislation, how is this impacting the availability and supply of social housing across Wiltshire? If these people are being classed as homeless, are resettlements prioritised over social housing applications of other Wiltshire residents? Finally, you said you cannot provide the locations due to Section 38 Health and Safety Act, as disclosure of the details of the locations where asylum seekers are housed has the potential to endanger the health or safety of the individuals housed in those locations. So to be clear, my question, I wasn't actually asking for addresses, I was asking for broad town and parish areas, because I believe that people in those communities deserve the right to know. Can you clarify, from this response, does this response imply that the law requires Wiltshire Council to prioritise the health and safety of asylum seekers over the health and safety of Wiltshire residents, particularly women who may have concerns about presence of individuals in their community whose backgrounds and criminal history are not known? Thank you.
And once again, the responses from both the leader of the council and the officers completely evaded the crux of the question.
In terms of the homelessness question, there is no priority given to anybody through that scheme, and anybody who does present as homeless and has the right to do so would be, worked with in line with our policy and processes in the same way as anybody else. In terms of the move on as well, we work with MEAs rather than it being solely us. So again, they do have that presence nationwide to be able to source and support move on into that accommodation.
I don't know if you heard it, but I believe that there wasn't any clear response about whether or not those from the Afghan resettlement scheme received preferential treatment over the thousands of families in the backlog for social housing applications. In fact, I believe this is clearly nonsense and obviously an attempt to evade the question. As I understand it, if you're going to be imminently homeless, you're prioritised. So are these Afghans classed as imminently homeless? That was the question. And no attempt at all was made to address my second question. Instead, they framed the Afghans in Wiltshire as potential war heroes.
I mean, my perspective is that these people are here in many cases because they worked for the Ministry of Defence, i.e. for you and me, for this country. They risked their lives for this country. They were paid to do so, but that's the nature of the armed forces. And they're here because their lives will be threatened in Afghanistan. Frankly, I think we should pay tribute to them.
Now, I'm not saying that some of them aren't lovely people who deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. And of course, I condemn harassment and violence of any sort. Nobody likes to have these conversations. But what I'm pointing out is a clear and well-documented safety and security issue, particularly for women and girls, to have men from these countries present in their communities. For example, recent data suggests that Afghan men are at least 3 times more likely to commit a sexual crime than British nationals. I don't like this statistic. I wish it wasn't true. But we can't just ignore this out of existence. We can't ignore what's staring us in the face, that Afghanistan is currently the worst place on earth to live if you're a woman. Why do we want to import more of that here? And we can't turn away from the disturbing reality that traffickers are advertising their services on TikTok by showing videos of scantily clad, intoxicated young ladies from Britain, saying, "Look what's here, look what's waiting for you." We have to face the trade-offs of this compassionate to the point of suicidal ideology. These are difficult conversations, but they need to be had. This isn't about being racist or xenophobic. This is about trying to find the best way forward that protects the most people. And it's my opinion that enough is enough. Now, this attitude is what we're up against. Look at them laughing at us. They think we're all stupid racists who don't deserve to be heard. They don't understand the vastness of the silent majority who just want to have a common sense conversation about immigration and address what's staring us in the face. Well, we will be heard, and we are winning. Reform UK is consistently the top performer in the polls. Flags are appearing everywhere, and when you take them down, they just keep springing back up. This movement is inevitable. The truth will out.